I am a 47-year-old man. We've known each other for 30 years and were married for 26 years. We got married when she was pregnant with our first child, which was our final year of high school. I got a job at UPS right after high school, which was a blessing, but we had a rough start. Her family is very Irish, and they didn't like me at first. But I was able to win them over, especially her father. She did not have to work because I made sure of it. We had 4 girls and 1 boy by the time we were 27 years old. I just got lucky that the boy came out first. We fought about money, how to discipline, and I complained that we weren't spending enough time together. It's clear that we have 5 kids, and they can be very tiring. I did what I could to help, but she was still tired. But she was my whole world. She always worked out. I also tried, but I have a floppy gut because I was a delivery driver for a long time and was what they called skinny fat. My chest, arms, and legs are all strong, but my gut is loose. I had a horseshoe hairline, which made me shave it off, but Debbie was everything to me. She would sometimes say mean things to me, and when I finally had enough, I hit back. She then turned into a cry bully, and I gave up. Over the years, we became the only married couple in our group of friends. Each and every one of them split up. Our 7 married friends all got divorced for different reasons. 5 were because the wife cheated on her husband, 1 was because the husband cheated on his wife, and the last one got divorced because the wife friend-zoned her husband. It was against my will for my wife to hang out with her newly single friends, but that would only lead to a huge fight about how I control her and treat her like a prisoner and a living doll. I was shocked by everything. She became more angry the more she spent time with them. The kids even paid attention. When I got home, my son and 2 of my daughters were arguing with her. I knew why they were upset, but I told them they were wrong for yelling at their mother. I asked them what was going on when they left the room, and she told me that we see her as a slave. She told me to forget it, shut up, and walked away when I asked her where this was coming from. The day I caught her in the act is still very clear in my mind. She went out with her friends. While my 3 oldest were watching Train to Busan, I was cooking in the kitchen. I thought they were there to check on the food, but they all looked worried. I asked my son what was wrong, and he said that they think their mom is seeing someone else. I didn't believe it at first, of course. It made me not want to believe it. I yelled at them and told them I would show them they were wrong. When I closed my iPhone app, I saw that she was at a bar on the edge of town. I immediately got in my car and drove straight to the bar. When I got to the bar, it was packed, but I saw her group of friends acting like jerks in the corner booth. As I got closer, they all turned pale, and I got that sick feeling in my gut. I left the bar and walked around the parking lot because I didn't see her there. A car was parked in the back corner, and it looked like the driver was asleep. I thought it was my friend. As I got closer to the car, it was clear that he was getting a BJ. I had asked him if he had seen my wife. As I got closer, I became more sure that the woman in the car was my wife. They didn't even notice that I was almost standing by the driver's side window. I gave up. I was rude when I broke the window and pulled him outside. Deb was saying, "Sorry," over and over. I yelled at her and kicked him at the same time. Soon after, the police showed up and arrested me. I was in county for 5.5 weeks. I went to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack, but it turned out I just had broken heart syndrome. It got around quickly what I did, and in the end, my father-in-law helped me out. When I walked through those gates, the man was almost crying. He told me he was very sorry for what his daughter did. I can still keep my job. He told me on the way home that he had talked to my boss and the union rep about it. His words were that the kids had been living with him and that Debbie was ready for me at home. He brought the truck because he knew what was going to happen. He had a point. Debbie cried as she ran up to me at the house and tried to hug me, but I pushed her so hard that she fell to the ground. She was shocked when she saw me. To get a divorce, I told her to leave my house with her stuff. Her father talked her out of it when she tried to fight it. My mother-in-law came over with the kids an hour after they left, and I hugged them all very hard. Before she left, she also said sorry for what her daughter did. Now, in my state, partners have to go through counseling before they can get a divorce, which I think is a total waste of time. If she cheated, I don't get why I need to go to therapy. I did nothing at the start of the lessons except watch her dribble. In fact, that's what it was, dribble. Putting the blame on the fact that we were new parents, and she had never lived a wild life or had so much freedom, she got carried away. She got lost in it, and her friends told her to keep going. She quickly felt like she was missing something, so she began a fling. A few times, the psychologist tried to make it seem like I was to blame. She said I should have given her some space and that I should have tried to see things from her point of view. I looked at the woman and asked the psychologist if she was high on crack because what she said was the silliest thing that could have been said. I asked her how long she had been seeing someone else. She told them it had been 4 months and that the AP was the only one. She also said it was a mistake and that we could move on since we've been together before. It was her idea, so I asked her how many times they slept together. They got an honest answer from her through her tears, and I was still for a long time. During this, the counselor tried to talk to me twice, but I blocked her. I remembered all the fun things we did together before and during our relationship. The laughs, the talks, the closeness, everything. I had no idea she was sad or angry. We were just being ourselves. When I finally spoke, I talked about the times we were close during that time. I talked to her. She tried to tell me what was wrong, but I told her to shut up while I kept calling her every name in the book. I finally told her that I didn't trust her anymore. The counselor and Debbie tried to tell me again that our history and relationship can move on from this mistake, but I didn't want to hear it. It seemed like they didn't care how I felt about it. I just wanted to know how to forgive her and move on. I also wanted to say sorry for making her feel like a helper, so I left. For the past 2 years, this controversial divorce has been a long, hard fight. Debbie is still trying to fix things and bring us back together. I don't understand why, because all we talk about is the kids. When she tried to talk about something else, I hung up on her. At family events, I either avoid her or don't show up at all. No one in our family will talk to her. They don't want to spend time with their mom, so I'm going to respect that. Every week, my in-laws come over. I know they've been trying to get their daughter to give me my divorce, but it hasn't worked out. I've been really mean to her. My mother-in-law calls her a dummy and talks about her in front of her church group. I told her to stop because I didn't want everyone in town to know about our problem. Our son and daughter made a Tinder account for me during the first year. It seemed silly to me. I'm a middle-aged man with 5 kids and a dad bod, but I've been on over a dozen great dates that have made me feel great about my confidence. I met someone recently while I was in court for community service. She was in charge of us at Habitat for Humanity. Her name is Isabel. At a soap opera convention she went to with her daughter, she got first place in a contest to see who could best look like Vanessa Marshall. That's how we began to talk. I watch General Hospital with my kids because they love it. For me, this is one of the few times I get to spend with them. 6 months in, I introduced her to the kids, and they liked her right away. Even stranger, it looks like my son and her daughter really like each other. Debbie won't let go, though. She even told our 2 smallest kids that we would get back together one day. She was telling them this, and I told her to stop. She doesn't want to go to therapy, but her dad wants her to. I just want this to end already. I'm glad I spent so many years with Debbie. I have 5 great kids with her. I got strong and made a life for her. I only wish I hadn't wasted 26 years with her on a fling. She thought she had me when I was really just going to let it go and take her back. I don't hate her, though. When I see her old group of friends around town, I don't call them by their names. Instead, I call them. When I caught her in that car, all the love and respect I had for her went away. She will always be my kid's mother, and nothing else. I just hope she can accept that. My ex-wife has been a little off the last month. She's gotten into a few fights with her old friends. And the last one was pushed out of the Circle K. One of them broke their nose, one broke their lip. Every time the cops were called, They just took her to her parents' house because our county was so small. Everyone showed up to my in-laws' anniversary party one Saturday. Isabel and I went together because we were dating at the time. I pulled Debbie to the side because she looked off. It was the first time I had actually talked to her. She told me she was sorry. She said she didn't know why she didn't tell her old friends to stop bothering her. She told me that she broke up our family, and that seeing me with Isabel made her miss me even more. She wished she had valued what she had. I think it was fear in the pit of my stomach when she said that, though. I should have kept checking on her to make sure she was okay, but Debbie officially apologized to Isabel for what she did at the party, and asked her to make me happy because I deserve a good woman. Debbie talked to each of our kids, and I could see that they were getting along with her. They laughed and talked, and they even posed for a few shots. The fun I was having with Isabel made me think about having a nice chat with Debbie for a change. The call came at 3 a.m. There was a lot of yelling from my sister-in-law. My brother-in-law was trying to calm me down by telling me that Debbie had tried to end it, and that they were on their way to the hospital. I could hear my mother-in-law crying. My in-laws were not feeling well when I got to the hospital. She had surgery because she lost a lot of blood. We gave blood for her because the hospital didn't have enough of her blood type. My son wasn't able to be a part of the process, but he did watch it. All of my girls were having a bad time. My 3 younger girls were up and down, and when my son came out of the operating room, he told us she would be fine. When I gave him a hug, he broke down crying in my arms. It made me want to cry too, but I had to hold it together for them. My mother-in-law found some notes Debbie had left one Sunday. She made one thick one for me and one for each of the kids. There were divorce papers that had been signed and an 8-page letter of apology in my envelope. She gave in to social pressure and said that her so-called friends brainwashed her into thinking that she was a servant. The letter just proved that she was never unhappy about our marriage. She told me she was sorry for having that affair and how it made her treat me and the kids. When Debbie woke up, she wouldn't talk at first. She would just look out the window. She slowly started to acknowledge everyone after that, but she was still far away. Deb asked to talk to Isabel by herself. She told me that Debbie asked her if she loves me because she could tell I did. She told her that she loved me and that I was the first man she had been with since her husband died in Afghanistan 15 years ago. I told her yes when she asked if Debbie was right about how much I loved her. She was very happy about this. Debbie is going to a mental hospital to be watched. Her parents were told by the doctor that she might not be free for a year or 2. She is no longer my wife or the woman I love deeply, but she is still the mother of my children, and I will do everything I can to help her get better for their sake.